So I personally do have ADD. I went to go get tested. I was supposedly mildly ADD. They gave me medications in college, and I used it for 6 months, and I ended up kind of getting some withdrawal symptoms when I would like not take it. So I didn't want to get dependent on it, so I let go of them. With that being said, instead of using medications, instead of trying to force your kid to do something they don't want to do, is you have to give them incentives and consequences. For me, growing up by being raised by a single mother, there were no consequences and there were no incentives to do good in school. There was no mentor or even if there was a mentor, I'm not going to listen. There's no incentive. I don't want to do something that's not going to pay off. For somebody with ADD, they have instant gratification tendencies. For me, I want something right away, or it has to be such a big thing that I'll get that it will make me want to do the things that I want to do. So growing up, I always thought myself as dumb, so I never even tried to learn by myself, never even took initiative. And I would just go on with life with like a blur. That was elementary, middle school, until somebody offered me an incentive. So the way it worked, in 8th grade, you know, kinder up until 8th grade, I'm getting Fs, a poor reader, bad at math, and all these things. I did come across good teachers. I came across subjects I did like science, and I would actually try on those, and they had an interest. So in 8th grade, I had a proposal. My cousin proposed to me, "Hey, if you do good in this last report card or your 8th grade report card, you finish with A's and B's, I will buy you an iPod Touch, or not an iPod Touch, an iPod, whatever, an iPod." And me growing up poor, never owning a game system or any kind of electronic device, I didn't have a cell phone at that time. This was 2008. So for me, it was a big thing. Everybody has them. I'm rocking the poor guy's shoes. The shoes from the back of the aisle. I'm looked as the poor kid of the school. So for me, that was a big thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna get an iPod. But then another thing she did was she doubted me. She doubted me to the point where I was like, I'll show you. Like, I really want that thing. And on top of that, I'm you know, to make you feel bad, I'm gonna get good grades, and you're gonna have to buy me that iPod. So that device, whatever the proposal was such a big thing for me that I was willing to finish the year strong. And what that did to me was I went from being the teacher's nightmare to being the teacher's best friend, to turning in assignments, raising my hand, being active. It was a complete flip. Like I said before, I did have some teachers before this experience that I would listen to, and they had like a special thing, like a connection with me. Like I had total respect for them, for these rare teachers. There were like very few teachers that I had respect for. These teachers were very serious. The ones that I had respect for were serious. They didn't yell. They would just look at you with death stare in front of everybody. It was such a weird thing when they would look at you with such a eye and intensity. I would not dare speak up or speak back. Other teachers that are just scream and use loud, speak up too loudly all the time, they lose the power of their voice. So it's good to be controlled. All right, with them aside, they're an exception. But every other teacher I would mess with, I'll be bad with. But this proposal, getting an iPod for good grades, was enough to make me want to do my everything correctly. Sit in front of the class. All my friends were looking at me like, what the heck just happened to this guy? They were looking at me weird. I didn't care. This iPod was so important. So, long story short, I got my report card. I got A's and B's. I was actually happy with what I was doing. I was proving to myself that I wasn't as dumb as I thought I was. And that satisfaction was so big that I didn't really want the iPod. I mean, I wanted it, but it wasn't as important anymore. What was more important is me continuing to learn and do things that make me a better person. And so I showed the report card to my cousin. She said, no, all A's and, whatever. I was like, okay, I don't care. I'll buy one myself. I'll save money and stuff like that. And that's pretty much the year that changed my life. I'm glad that she did that. I don't know if I would have ended up changing or even trying to do good in school. But from that point on, in high school, I was a 3.8 GPA student. Um, of course, the school was mainly Hispanic, and the teachers, they have a tendency of giving students passing grades without really deserving it. So, I did benefit from that. But otherwise, you just barely had to try and you would get the grade. But for me, that was just still a big thing that I was still striving for. Then in college, I got smacked by reality. Yeah, high school was completely rigged. My high school experience was rigged to give me good grades. In college, some classes are rigged to give you good grades, but the sciences, oh man, they kicked my ass. But um, I I wanted to just finish the school, and I pushed through it. That's where I really learned math. Oh, this is besides the point. I finished college. That's for another video. But the point of this is, if you have a son, a student, they need an incentive. Some of the good kids that are doing good, they probably even have good incentives. They probably have a parent that is strict and has strict guidelines. They have consequences, and the child respects their parent. If the child does not respect the parent, they're not going to be a good student. If the child does not respect the teacher, they're not going to be a good student. Like, I was a good student to certain teachers. Very few were able to have that ability of keeping me under control. My mom, I did have respect for her. Like, I wouldn't talk too much back, but at the same time, she didn't punish me for having bad grades. She didn't really care. She couldn't care because she was worried about putting food on the table and a roof over my head. My dad, was not in the picture. So, that's irrelevant. And my brother was in the same situation as me. We were both struggling in school. He didn't get that incentive pushed on him. He was already hanging out in the bad crowd, but now he's good. Thank God. Um, but yeah, I think we both had ADD. I don't know, but I got tested. But anyways, if you can find an incentive for this student, if the parents could give that student an incentive, such a big incentive, then that would be ideal. And figuring out what that would be is something that you ask the student. What do you want in exchange for good grades? Hopefully it's not too big. Hopefully it's something as, because if you already have money, you're spoiling your child with game consoles. You're ruined. You will have a hard time. I don't know how to deal with that because I never grew up with money, and when there was that opportunity to acquire something materialistic, as bad as it might seem, I took I took advantage of that to push me to do good. So that's my story. I hope you kind of see my perspective. Everybody's different, and with that, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye. Subscribe, like, comments down below. Bye bye.